world, and that's the right to safe and secure housing on our own lands. Like many of our peers, Indigenous Australians have faced significant challenges in accessing adequate and affordable housing for generations. This has had a profound impact on our health, wellbeing and our cultural identity. And as we know, Indigenous communities continue to be disproportionately affected by the effects of climate change, and this only further exacerbates the entrenched disadvantages we face. As we gather here today in recognition of the urgent need to address these issues, our efforts at self-determination under Article 21 of the UNPFII are being thwarted by a lack of housing stocks and government support. The Taungurung Nation call on the United Nations to support our demand under Articles 23, 26 and 28 of the UNPFII that all levels of the Australian Government act urgently and in coordination to address the current housing crisis, to ensure that adequate housing is available to all Indigenous Australians and that these homes are resilient and suitable in the face of climate change. Safe and secure housing is a fundamental human right, and the Taungurung Nation have pioneered the Bring in the Mob Home Fund, which provides tangible financial support for our people to move back to our homelands, enabling the fulfilment of our cultural rights and responsibilities of caring for country. Housing forms the foundation that will ensure our children and future generations have bright futures by providing improvements in life expectancy, rates of childhood chronic and acute illness, social and emotional wellbeing, as well as reduced vulnerability to epidemics and pandemics and climate-related adverse health impacts. Climate change poses an unprecedented threat to the world, and Indigenous Australians are amongst the most vulnerable populations. Rising sea levels, more frequent and intense natural disasters, and changing weather patterns all have the potential to devastate our communities. It's time for the Australian Government to take action. We call on the Government to provide increased support to Indigenous organisations working to address housing crisis and to ensure that Indigenous communities are given a voice in this important work. We urge the Australian Government to take swift action to address the housing crisis. The time for talk is over. The time for action is now. Thank you.